Welcome to Lecture 13.2. Right now I would like you to go to Moodle, and in the folder titled Chapter 13 Personality Lecture Videos, I would like you to watch two videos. The first titled About Temperament, and the second titled Temperament Kagan. Welcome back. So those two videos give you a really good look at what temperament is and how we assess temperament in early infancy. So temperaments are biologically based tendencies to feel or act in certain ways. Your temperament is the biological underpinnings of your personality. Personality is psychological and sociological. Temperament is the biological foundations from which your personality comes. Now there's three characteristics considered as temperaments. Activity level. This is the overall amount of energy and behavior that a person exhibits. And in the videos you could see which infants were more active than others. Some infants are just very active, even as little 2-month-olds. They just move more as they observe their environment. When they interact with people, they show more body motion than some other infants will. Emotionality, and this has to do with the intensity of emotional reactions. Some babies are more explosive than others. And I mean that with any emotion. They feel things very strongly. And some other infants are very mild. They definitely show the whole healthy range of human emotion, but they're more muted in their emotional intensity. And then sociability. This is the general tendency to affiliate with others. And we can detect this very early in infancy. Some infants are very social. They want to engage with other people. Other infants are more reserved. They still like people. It's not that they're antisocial. They're just not as interactive with others around them. Or when they are interactive, may not be as intensely interactive as those infants that are highly sociable. So we can detect these temperaments very early in infancy, and that really fascinates me. Temperament is hardwired. This is strictly neurological. This is your nervous system. Personality blossoms from that. Personality is the manifestation and the social manifestation of your temperament. Now, we do see temperament differences between girls and boys. Girls show stronger abilities to control their attention and to resist impulses. I'll try to remember to find the marshmallow test. It's so funny. Boys are more physically active. They experience more high-intensity pleasure. They like to roughhouse a lot. Boys, when they play, are much more physical than girls when they play. And boys are louder. They're just louder when they play, which is a lot of fun. This meta-analysis has also found that there are no temperamental differences in negative emotions. That both boys and girls experienced anger, can be just as neurotic or anxious during childhood. I find that very interesting, and we still have this myth that girls are more emotional than boys. That's simply not reflected in research. There's no research showing that at any time in the lifespan, men or women, boys or girls, experience emotions differently. The only difference is what can they show. It's all about display rules. Now, early childhood temperaments do significantly influence behavior and personality structure throughout a person's lifespan. So there's this brilliant study being done called the Minnesota Longitudinal Study. And researchers have invested the health, development, and personalities of more than 1,000 people. I want to say this is getting into its 40th year, but I need to double check that. It's in your textbook, and on Moodle I've posted a link to the study website. So these are people that have been studied since birth, and they had a 97% continuancy rate through each subject's 21st birthday, which is pretty astonishing. Trying to get a subject to stay in a study that long is hard, especially when they're at the mercy of their parents. Parents get pretty invested in this. Now, as part of the longitudinal study, young children were assessed at age 3, and they were classified into temperamental types based on examiners' ratings. This is very interesting. How children were classified at age 3 predicted personality structure and a variety of behaviors in early childhood. Research is really solid that when you're little, you are who you are. Your personality just continues to blossom. It becomes more intricate with just experiencing the daily developmental patterns that we go through. Life takes time to unfold, and so does personality. But because of temperament, we can determine at a very young age person's personality structure and where that's likely to lead them in some aspects of their life later on. With the Minnesota Longitudinal Study, they found that children who were judged to be under-controlled at age 3 were later more likely to be antisocial, to struggle with alcohol problems, and to have engaged in crime than those who were judged well-adjusted or inhibited. And in your textbook you have this graph, so go ahead and take a look at that in your textbook. From an evolutionary standpoint, personality traits useful for survival and reproduction may have been favored. As I mentioned previously, personality is adaptive. If something is adaptive, it helps us survive and reproduce. Behaviors that are and tendencies that are not adaptive die out over time. So we know that personality has adaptive features. Being competitive has enabled individuals to obtain great rewards or enjoy increased value in their social group. Those who are competitive are going to go into things like politics, sports, music. They thrive on that competition. Many people are not highly competitive. These are not things that they want to go into or to engage in. And so one of the great things about human nature is that there's such a variety of temperaments and personalities out there. We need people who can be highly competitive, and we need some who don't want to be competitive at all. Each has their own has its own gift to give to the social group. Traits can also provide important information about desirable and undesirable qualities in mates. So as we were looking at earlier, girls have an easier time with attention. That's a really good thing if you're the one raising young children. And for tens of thousands of years, that's been females. Mothers have over thousands and thousands and thousands of years, been the primary caretakers of children. Now, this is changing. Evolution takes a lot longer than 1 or 2 generations, though. So, men are going to be looking for traits that are desirable in women that they want to have children with, and women are going to do the same. They're going to seek traits that are important to them in the men that they're going to reproduce with. Another possible explanation for individual differences is related to the skills possessed by members of a group. Groups whose members possess diverse skills. So, novelty seekers versus cautious members. So people who are novelty seekers like new things. And I don't mean new items. I mean they like to engage in new things. And they thrive off new experiences. We also need people who like routine, who like things to be very scheduled, very they like to have a predictable life. And that's a great thing too. One isn't better than the other. We need both novelty seekers and those who are a little more cautious or who prefer a more routine daily life. Each group has a selective advantage over groups whose members have a limited number of skills. And this is where personality becomes incredibly adaptive. The more diversity of skills, the more successful as a group can be. So it's really fantastic that there are so many personality traits. And we'll look at that in a lot more detail in some of our upcoming lecture. So we'll end here, and next up we will be talking about animal temperament. Thank you.